Number 5 ranked Islam Makhachev is a -700 favorite, my man, with the plus 500 comeback for number 6 ranked Dan Hooker here in the lightweight division. AJ, is it kind of odd or a little disrespectful to see the performance Dan Hooker put on in the crazy circumstances he had to go through against Nasrat Haqparast in his last fight, and then he comes into the next fight as a plus 500 underdog? Like, is it a little disrespectful? Is Makhachev a little overhyped on this one, or do you think that Makhachev is that dangerous of a fighter? What do you think?
I mean, Makhachev is very dangerous, man. Very much a dangerous fighter. But I think not only is it disrespectful to Dan Hooker, it's very disrespectful to Nasrat Haqparast to think coming in off of what Dan Hooker did to him, that they're just like, oh yeah, this next dude, the guy that you could possibly fight in the future, just is going to steamroll you too. Like, yeah, I mean, Islam Makhachev, until proven wrong, this dude's a killer. Like, I mean, I was doubting him in his last fight against Thiago Moises, and sure enough, he looked very good. He just wanted, the only thing that kind of kept him not as good as he has been is he was looking to prove a point and show that he can sit there and strike. Now, is the same level of striking that Dan Hooker has as Thiago Moises? Dan Hooker is far superior in my book, but it's going to be interesting to see how it does, because I've been waiting to see the numbers on this betting line, man. That -700 to a plus 500 comeback for Dan Hooker. Yeah, there's some value there because Dan Hooker's a killer.
Now, I agree with you, but this is the biggest favorite on the card, man. And if you're listening to a Habib Nurmagomedov, he says that Makhachev should already be pound for pound top 10, that he's basically the future of the lightweight division. He's going to be the champion. And Makhachev, if you're him, you just got to keep winning fights, keep proving the point, man. So 20-1 is Makhachev, man. His only loss has come via knockout, and that was quite some time ago, you know what I'm saying? But both of these fighters have had some pretty, good success as of late. Dan Hooker, he's 3-2 in his last 5-0 for Makhachev, clearly. But listen, man, that big win for Dan Hooker was very telling, because what he did is he showed a lot of improvements, man. He looks like much more of a balanced fighter. He looks like a mixed martial artist as opposed to just a kickboxer, even though he's fighting out of city kickboxing, right? So what are the paths to victory for these fighters? If you're Makhachev, I feel like he can kind of get it done on the feet and on the ground. But Dan Hooker, unless he says, I'm going to shock the world and I'm going to take down Makhachev, which I don't think he should do, it has to be on the feet. I think that those big knees that he has, man, he could catch Makhachev coming in on a shot. If you know the game plan, you know what to predict. But then again, it's kind of like Khamzat Chimaev, where it's like, even though you know it's coming, it's hard to stop it. What do you think?
Yeah, man, it's exactly like Khamzat Chimaev. That's what I was saying. I have almost the same notes. Like, with how many more fights that Islam Makhachev is having, you're just showing that he does basically the exact same thing. Besides his last fight against Thiago Moises, where he was like, you know what? I'm going to stand in bed because this dude isn't as good on the feet. It's not as risky. Yeah, he basically just has that Dagestani smash style, and this dude gets it done. But what we saw, Derek, what we've been seeing lately, and obviously this happened in Bellator, not necessarily the UFC. There's levels to this, but Rufian Stotts, man, he was able to shut down that Dagestani smash style wrestling with some good old-fashioned American style, regular wrestling out here like we're doing, collegiate style, DC Academy way. And the thing is, Dan Hooker isn't fighting out of city kickboxing for this camp. He's been getting it done in Vegas. He's been traveling. Right, he's been seeing the things. He's here in America getting it done, American-style wrestling. It's going to be a very interesting one to see. Can Hooker perform the same way Stotts did against a Dagestani wrestler? I don't know. That's to be to tell. But is his striking better than Makhachev's? I think so. I think those knees are crazy. I mean, the fact that he is, 5'10" versus... Oh no, sorry, 6 foot versus 5'10". He has a 2-inch height advantage, but the 5-inch reach advantage, those legs are longer for Dan Hooker. And the crazy thing is, if he gets you in the clinch, he can hit you like on the top of the head with his knee, not necessarily even on the chin or anything. So Makhachev shoots early, he sees it coming, hits him with the knee up the middle. It's going to be very interesting because those knees are very fast. But as far as the wrestling, though, Makhachev's going to get it done there.
Yeah, man, I like the Rafion Stotts comparison, but Dan Hooker, not nearly as accomplished wrestler as Rafion Stotts is. Like, that was the thing, is Stotts was like a legit decorated wrestler who just happened to be a really good striker too. So for Dan Hooker, 6 months, couple weeks, right? Well, how long has he been removed since his last fight? A couple weeks, right? A couple weeks isn't really long enough to be able to improve that much, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I think that listen, those long strikes and those knees do discourage shots from being taken. So we could run into a situation where Makhachev feels like he has no choice but to just strike with Dan Hooker the whole time. However, the other thing we've that we've seen as of late, especially against Michael Chandler, is that if you put Dan Hooker on the back foot, just have him circling out, it's not really his best performances is when he's going that way. He needs to be walking forward, and it's hard to walk forward against somebody who's trying to take you down a bunch of times, right? Generally, you need to be on the back foot. So who do you think wins that pressure type situation, man? Like, who is going to be leading the dance? Is it going to be Makhachev?
I think, I mean, if all goes well, I think Hooker leads the dance on this one. He's very dangerous. He's a whole nother set of fighter when he's leading the dance. When he's moving backwards, he is very susceptible to that right hook over the top. We even saw in the Haqparast fight, he got clipped a little bit with that too. Although, I mean, with Dan Hooker leading the pressure, that leaves more chance for Makhachev to take a shot. Yeah. So it's almost more dangerous which one you want to go with. I honestly, this is one of those fights where I could see this one going back and forth either way. I mean, it might just be my biasy for kickboxing or whatnot, but I like Dan Hooker in this fight, man. He's very long, he's very lanky, and he knows how to get things done. His improvement in wrestling we saw against Haqparast was crazy impressive, like super. He jumped up levels. But I mean, you know, Makhachev levels to this game on that ground game over there, man. There's no way he's Haqparast.
Yeah, that's the big difference. Haqparast is primarily a boxer-puncher, right? So it's like, yeah, you got a whole different animal in Makhachev, and when you're being, you know, praised and crowned by the king himself, Khabib, then it's like, all right, man, we got to see. You know, this dude has a massive pressure on his shoulders every single fight to carry the name and the lineage of, you know, Abdul Manap, you know what I'm saying? Of that legendary Dagestani family and that royalty of family right there. So I will say notable wins for Makhachev, Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, Nick Lentz, and Gleason Tibau, man. He finished all of those except for Nick Lentz. That was a decision win. Who was an incredible wrestler in his own right. No, he's no longer fighting. He's retired, but still, the point remains. For Dan Hooker, notable wins. Paul Felder, split decision, incredible. Jim Miller knocked him out. Gilbert Burns knocked him out. And James Vick knocked him out, all in the first round. So that's what's interesting, is that Gilbert Burns is the same style of fighter who has hands, but loves to take his opponents down. And if he was able to knock Gilbert Burns out in the first round, I mean, we might be able to see that against Makhachev. I don't know what the odds are for a knockout, but I do know the odds for over or under, and we have 2.5. That's the over-under on this one, AJ. Over is -160, under is +130. Which one are you rocking with?
I'm rocking with the over on this one, Derek. I think it's going to be a longer, drawn-out fight. I don't think either of these guys. Makhachev is more likely to finish Hooker than Hooker is to finish Makhachev, in my opinion, but I think this one's going to decision regardless.
If a finish did happen, would it be knockout or submission, do you think?
I think it'd be knockout for either guy. If a finish happens, I think it's knockout for either guy. I don't really see Dan Hooker submitting Makhachev at all. And I think Makhachev is just going to absolutely lay that smash style ground and pound on Hooker going forward, unless he clips him with that overhand right. I mean, we haven't seen the good overhand right from Makhachev, but Dan Hooker tends to dip that left shoulder coming in. What do you think if you see a finish?
I think that a submission can happen from either of these guys, man. Dan Hooker, of his 21 wins, 7 are via submission. You know what I'm saying? This dude is no slouch. And the thing that I always say about wrestlers, right? And this is different because this is a Sambo guy in Makhachev, but we say it in jiu-jitsu every time we're in the gym, man. Be careful with that wrestling style because, are you getting in on those takedowns? Of course, but what are you leaving susceptible? Your neck. Watch the guillotine. That's what I'm saying. The guillotines, the darces, and especially Dan Hooker being tall, he can get that standing guillotine up in there. He can go wrap those long limbs, grip that darce, and then hook the leg, and then it could be a early night for Islam Makhachev. However, we saw a Drew Dober try to attempt anything against Makhachev, and that didn't work. So if Drew Dober couldn't do it, a great grappler like Dober, it's hard for me to imagine Hooker doing that. Nonetheless, all right, man, with that being said, I'm going with the over 2, AJ. I'm rocking over 2.5 rounds. I think that Dan Hooker's a tough guy, man. You know, that Chandler fight, I think, was very fluky. Because if you look at it, he's only been knocked out twice. And that was just really like a one-hitter quitter, little ground and pound to follow up. So I'm going Makhachev via decision here. I'm rocking with the -700 favorite, dude. It's just one of those things, just like Chimaev, like you said, where it's like you can't discount the man who just keeps winning. It's like Mayweather, man. He was like, this dude just keeps winning. Like, why are you going to bet against him when you know he wins all of these fucking fights? Like, I don't know. But nothing is guaranteed in this sport, and that's what makes this sport amazing, because anything can happen at any given time. All it takes is one shot. So who are you going with, AJ, and why?
Man, Derek, I'm going with the risky decision on this one, bro. I'm rocking with the boys out of City Kickboxing. I mean, like I said, it's risky. It's there is some serious hesitation in my mind, man. I've been going back and forth. I think Makhachev can easily win this fight. I also think Dan Hooker has the chance to win this fight. Yeah. But me personally, man, I'm rocking with the kickboxer, man. I'm going Dan Hooker by decision on this one. He has the swagger. He's ready to rock. He looks great. Momentum's on his side. I think Makhachev is the smart choice, but I'm going risky with this one, man. You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
That's
I'm
right.
rocking with Dan Hooker decision.
Okay, and word on the street, man, is Hasbullah. He's rocking with Makhachev, but Abdul, the little homie, man, that's on Team Hooker. So we got a whole little beef in there too, man. So you love to see it. You love to see it.